Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and this is your coronavirus tech news for Thursday, April 23rd of 2020, and we're going to dive right in because we've got some very interesting articles to get through. The first one is coming from CNET, and we were talking about Amazon because their workers are reportedly planning nationwide protests that are tied to the coronavirus. Now, this came out a day ago or so, and Amazon warehouse workers across the U.S. are planning on calling out sick this week as part of a protest to demand more protections amid this pandemic. More than 300 workers from at least 50 Amazon facilities are planning to take part, and that is according to CNBC. The protest, which is being organized by a workers' rights group called United for Respect, will reportedly involve workers calling out sick starting this past Tuesday and continuing throughout this week. Workers are demanding increased protections like safety equipment and training on how to use it, as well as coverage of medical expenses as they relate to, let's say, possible infections of COVID-19. This is according to that group. And obviously, I've talked about this before, not to get into the politics side of this. I am just concerned that if Amazon's infrastructure goes down, whether their workers are an outage, cause outages, or coronavirus sweeps through and they simply can't deliver, we're going to have a very serious problem on our hands because they are a behemoth in basically the supply chain to end users all across this nation and in many parts of the world. So we're going to see where that happens, but I am monitoring that closely. Moving on, our next article comes from CNN, and this is actually on doctors and nurses that are now starting to use virtual reality, or VR, to learn skills on how to treat coronavirus patients. Now, the example they give here is Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, where more than 300 doctors have learned skills such as how to assess a patient's symptoms or perform CPR while wearing protective gear through VR or virtual reality. Doctors and nurses at hospitals nationwide are undergoing a variety of coronavirus-specific training right now, including how to properly put on and take off protective equipment, how to utilize ventilators that are typically only used by critical care staff, learning new guidelines around concepts such as basic CPR and life support, and managing and diagnosis. How do you give CPR to somebody that has the coronavirus and keep yourself safe? I think that's probably a pretty good skill to learn, especially for medical practitioners. But because time and resources are limited, for these hospitals as this pandemic continues to spread, the doors open for technologies like virtual reality to basically fill in the gaps here. Considering how the medical industry has long been an early adopter of virtual reality, basically using it for things like distraction therapy for medical procedures. Dentists use it apparently, and also they use it for training surgeons. So this seems like a natural evolution of the technology, especially if you have to deal with the patient remotely, through let's say through a glass or from a distance because you don't want to get the practitioner sick as well. I think that's kind of cool. Excuse me. Moving on. This next article comes from Security Affairs, and it is entitled State-Sponsored Hackers Are Using COVID-19 Lures, Google Warns. Now, here's what's going on. Google is warning that nation-state actors are exploiting the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic to target healthcare organizations and entities involved in the fight against this pandemic. Google's threat analysis group shared its latest findings related to states-backed attacks and revealed that it has identified more than a dozen state-sponsored groups using COVID-19 as lures, probably through phishing. To quote Google, hackers frequently look at crisis as an opportunity, and COVID-19 is no different. Across Google products, we're seeing bad actors use COVID-related themes to create urgency so that people respond to phishing attacks and scams. Our security systems have detected examples ranging from fake solicitations for charities and NGOs to messages that try to mimic employer communication, to employees working from home, to websites posing as official government pages and public health agencies. And I have to completely concur with this as being part of the COVID-19 Cyber Threat Coalition, as I've mentioned here, before. And in working with them, this is the kind of intelligence that we are also gathering and working in conjunction, with large organizations across the globe to make sure that these hospitals are aware, trained, and better defended. So I'm very glad to see Google in this fight, along with everybody else alongside the COVID-19 Cyber Threat Coalition that is actually working on this. So way to go, Google. And that is some good reporting by Security Affairs. And finally, we're going to be talking about an article from Engadget because, quite frankly, frankly, this is really one of those things that I think underscores why Facebook is just, I think, a bit of a hot mess when it comes to their advertising. Now, yesterday my video was basically, and audio was basically on Facebook and all of those issues that they've got, but apparently it gets a little worse than this, because this article from Engadget is entitled, Facebook Stops Advertisers from Targeting Users into Pseudoscience. That's right, apparently you could do that. Now, Mark Zuckerberg has said that fighting the coronavirus misinformation is one of their top priorities. I mentioned this yesterday on them shutting down anti-lockdown protests, as well as other sites that they are deeming, Facebook pages that they are deeming misinformation, and they are trying to become more proactive on that. Although most of what they do is retroactive, meaning it goes up, it's shared hundreds or thousands of times before Facebook catches it and kills it. But nevertheless, they are trying to do this. So even though Zuckerberg said that this is one of their top priorities, Facebook ad policies are now just kind of catching up. So now the company will no longer allow advertisers to target users based on their interest in pseudoscience. And this is according to the publication The Markup. Now, this publication discovered this category after seeing an ad for an anti-EMF, that's electromagnetic field beanie, meaning something you put on your head, apparently meant to protect against radiation from smartphones. Facebook later told The Markup that it removed the category from its ad platform, but it's not clear how popular this category is, or has been rather, among Facebook advertisers. It dates back to at least 2016, and its existence can be particularly problematic as the company tries to crack down on many of the pseudoscientific claims that have taken hold during the pandemic. Conspiracy theories like linking 5G technology to the coronavirus have been particularly problematic. It had to have been a 10-minute video walking back the entire origin of this whole 5G coronavirus situation, where we're seeing, especially in the UK, people are burning 5G infrastructure, cell towers, and all of that, fearing that this spreads. And it started in a Facebook group that got shared hundreds of times before Facebook shut it down, and then they just basically relaunched it somewhere else on Facebook. And so Facebook has been directly involved in terms of being the platform that is spreading misinformation, pseudoscience, all of this. I recommend everybody go watch that video, not to plug myself, but I did my homework on that, even talking about the types of radiation in 5G and why it isn't a problem. And so please go look at that. Now, Facebook's ad categories have always been a source of controversy in the past. The company previously took heat for allowing advertisers to target vaccine controversies, and the social network settled a lawsuit last year that alleged the company ad targeting basically was enabling housing discrimination as well. And I actually did a video where I included that because you could basically sort, if you were, let's say, looking to rent your property to somebody, you could sort by race back in the day. And so this is obviously a very serious issue that Facebook has, and I think it really needs to be looked at. And I'm definitely adding this to my 2.0 video of why Mark Zuckerberg should be in jail. But that is your Corona Tech Virus news of the day for Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. I hope everybody is healthy and at home. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.